Why do you use words like vermin and poisoning of the blood? The press, as you know, immediately reacts to that by saying, well, that's the kind of language that Hitler and Mussolini used.
Well, that's what they say. I didn't know that, but that's what they say. Because our country is being poisoned. Look, we have, and we can be nice about it. We can talk about, I want to be politically correct. But we have people coming in from prisons and jails, long-term murderers, people with sentences that the rest of their lives they're going to spend in some jail in some country that many people have never even heard of.
We have people who are right here, born on American soil, who still have not been held to account, who took a mugshot and made money selling T-shirts of it, okay? I digress. Does Donald Trump know the work of Hitler? Does Donald Trump appreciate the work of Hitler? Does Donald Trump know anything about Hitler? Well, it depends on which day it is. He could not have been set up better to not say what you just heard him say. Trump said he didn't know Hitler used that language, but can we just remind you that the man allegedly keeps a book of Hitler speeches on his nightstand? Who would do that? Well, he would. He would do that, okay? 1990 report, Ivana Trump told her lawyer Donald Trump kept Hitler speeches beside his bed. That's what Ivana said. Other things he notably didn't know, quote, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I know nothing about QAnon, he said during an NBC town hall. Nonetheless, he refused to rule it out as false. I don't know that, and neither do you, he said. No, we know it. Associated Press with the reporting there. Here's Trump's past excuse for why he's rehashing 20th century fascist talking points. I'm not a student of Hitler. I never read his works, he said. They say that he said something about blood. He didn't say it the way I said it either, by the way. It's a very different kind of a statement. What I'm saying when I talk about people coming into our country is they are destroying our country. You could be homegrown and be destroying our country. He would know, right? He would know. Trump claims they were different meanings of poisoning. Well, were they? We'll see. One chapter of Mein Kampf, named Race and People, Hitler wrote, all the great civilizations of the past became decadent because the originally creative race died out as a result of contamination of the blood. In another passage, he links the poison which has invaded the national body to an influx of foreign blood. New York Times with the chronicling there. Trump repeating his blood poisoning comments wasn't the only flash of a dictator he showed in that interview. How about press freedom?
After the Iowa caucuses, two networks didn't carry your speech. I was very critical at the time. But you said CNN and NBC should have their licenses or whatever they have, take it away. Sounded like you were threatening to go after television outlets that was reporting you don't like.
Well, I think it's incredible. Some of them use the airwaves and some of them don't. You know, certain cable, I guess it's a little bit different. License, But when you're using public airwaves and you don't have, you cover a candidate for months, you cover them as negatively as possible, or her, could be her, and all of a sudden that candidate wins in a landslide and it's very exciting and everybody wants to watch, and you don't cover his speech. It's incredible. This is the big moment and people want to watch it. And you say, I'm not going to put his speech on. How can you do that?
Well, because they're not able to fact check it in real time. I will answer that question because he's telling lies. Now, I guess they could run it and just put up, some kind of chyron that says fiction, expect fiction. But that too, though, Jackson, is why this powerful TYT network is so important, why independent media is so important, because if this guy gets in there again, I mean, we know what he did and tried to undermine the press, media, fake news. He coined it. There's people who you can't even ask them, what is today's date? And they'll scream in your face, fake news. We can't even agree on the date, okay? And that's why I don't even approach people. I wing it. If I'm late, I'm late. So what do you think the result of Trump? God, It just makes me itch. But I'll say it, a second term will be on a quote unquote free press.
I think that he would, raise as much hell as he possibly could, especially for people who he thinks went after him the hardest. So that would mainly be the highest profile individuals, which would take up a lot of his attention. And at the end of the day, when he says things like vermin or blood poisoning or whatever, he's just, again, continuously just trying to get reactions from people, keeping his base fed with that red meat. But I was laughing because I'm sitting here imagining Trump with this book next to his nightstand that he does not read on a nightly basis. Maybe he has a tape recorder and he follows along with his fingers or something. But the way that Mein Kampf was written somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but basically Hitler just pacing around ranting in his jail cell and somebody writing it down. Like, Hitler's ideology is ridiculous. Yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't work. But Donald Trump just he still doesn't strike me as some type of ideological man. He's just a narcissistic walking mascot who cosplays as a billionaire who accidentally became president. And now he's in a whole bunch of trouble. And he's doing his best to, stay out of trouble. That's basically all this is. But unfortunately, millions of people see some type of savior in him.
If we could ever get Donald Trump confined to a jail cell, ranting, raving, what is your take on whether his work, somebody else would have to write it down, record it, I don't know, do an audio book, would it outpace Hitler's work?
I think that honestly, it wouldn't be nearly as broad. I think if Donald Trump was to do something like that, it would mostly be about himself. It would mostly be about his career and how great he is and how unfairly he's been treated. But I think that Hitler had a bit more machinations and more intelligence than Donald Trump does. Donald Trump's just dumb.
Yeah, big print, lots of illustration, crayons. Certain supporters who perhaps wear that red hat just to irritate the rest of us. I saw a couple in Costco the other day. I ignored them. Felt like they were following me to see if I would react to them. I was getting samples. I went up and down the aisles and I got samples and could care less, unbothered. Okay.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.